Yo, what's going on, YouTube friends and family? Hope everybody's doing great because me and Manny doing great, man. You already know what time it is. Manny, what's up, baby? What's up, man?
Good, baby. You already know, man. I'm just chilling and maintaining. There's another day, another dollar, baby. You already
Another
know,
day,
man.
another day, another dollar. Yo, that
That's
Q
right.
and A, man. That Q and A.
Wowzers.
Let's get to it. Let's get to it, man.
Man,
Let's get to
waste no time. We got a lot of information to cover, ladies and
absolutely.
gentlemen. So we're not
Mm-hmm.
even going to go extra. We're just going to get right into it. The
Get
way we're
right
going to do
to it.
this
One,
today,
two.
we got, you know what I'm saying, we're going to hit you with the 1-2 punch. We got a couple things we want to cover. Um, I don't know what you got going on. Your mic went crazy. Um, But yeah, we got some bullet points we're going to cover today. We're going to just
Right.
tell you a little bit about it. Then at the
Absolutely.
end, we're just going to give you our conclusions of the entire thing. It took about
Right.
4 hours. Again, me and Kenny
Damn,
watched
bro.
it.
4
For
hours,
you
bro.
guys, for you
Yep.
guys, we did that.
We saw
So
it for you guys, man.
just make sure. So all of this is worth it. Just make sure to comment, like, and subscribe, baby. You already know,
That's all
man.
we have. That's
You
all we
already
have.
know. Yeah, I
We
like the
not
last
asking for
video.
cash out. We not asking for cash out. We not asking for PayPal. We
No,
just asking.
none of that. None of that. You liked the last video, but guess what? Today is another day, another
Another
dollar,
dollar. That's
baby. You
how it
already
goes.
know, man.
That's how
So,
it
bro,
is,
so
man.
let's get right
Get
into
to
it,
it.
man. I got my little handy dandy notebook right here. So, first of all, so one of the first questions that was asked to Myron and Walter was, what do they, what was their previous background? So, Walter was in the tech industry.
Right.
I believe he worked for like one of the major like top 100 or Fortune 500 companies.
Okay.
Um, Now Myron Gaines a little bit different. He was like a criminal investigator, so he was pretty much into law enforcement. Pretty much, he was like an
The
intern.
irony, right? How ironic.
Crazy, 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 crazy. And I know at some point, that's why he kind of really gets along with like Mr. Organic because Mr. Organic was on the other side of the spectrum, and
Right.
they're in the same field now, which is
Same-
creating content
Right.
for YouTube.
Right. He
So
was pretty much investigating the crimes that Mr. Organic used to partake in case you
yeah,
guys.
exactly. So funny enough, and on that note, it brings us to our next thing. They did shout out Mr. Organic, Tall Guy Review, which are those some other
Alpha male
great,
strategies.
Alpha Male Strategy was another one. Pretty much kind of tell them to keep their head up. DJ Academics was another one. In fact, the
Academics.
whole idea of the Q&A was DJ Academics. So shout out to him
Academics.
for
Shout out to
recommending that.
academics. Honestly. Yep.
So how do we get here? So they want to know, how do we get here? So pretty much they felt betrayed by aba&Preach. That's kind of like what initiated and ignited everything to start off with. All right,
Right.
so they felt betrayed with how they approached. They felt like they should have sent a text, giving them a heads up. But
That's
they felt like
debatable.
they were, it's debatable, right? But
It's
they
debatable.
were blindsided. All right, so that was that. So right, and Kenny, you make a good point. That is debatable, you say, and by the way, I agree with you on that. So let's talk about that for a little bit. Why do you say it's debatable?
Well, the reason why I say it's debatable, it's because it's not like they came in a disrespectful approach, right? Their video wasn't insulting. It was coming out constructive criticism, but a little heads up would have been nice. But their reaction, if anything, was much worse, making it personal. Because I mean, if you're discussing YouTube platform, there's no need to bring other family members. But a little heads up saying, hey, this and that. But Walter and Myron, they took it to a whole nother level. You get what I'm saying? So that's why it's
Definitely.
debatable.
Yeah, definitely. Well, again, keep in mind, this is just the whole betrayal aspect. This is not even them responding just yet. This is just them. How did they perceive the information? The reason I do agree with you is because aba&Preach have done this before. This is not the first time, and they've kind of straightened the information as well. They've said, "Hey, listen, we had an entire session of that we broke into multiple pieces. Somebody was inquiring about that particular scenario.
Right.
We thought that we covered it, or if it was already covered, and it turns out we did not. However, we already had a planned part for that, a segment for that we did not upload. So we pretty much went ahead and uploaded that information. Again, it was just critiquing that particular scenario.
Right.
And that's all that they were doing on that particular case.
Right.
And again, I do have some
Right.
information that I do want to share, and I will put a snippet of something, but that's going to be later on. Make sure to remind me, bro. Don't forget.
Gotcha.
Next thing. So, the people were asking Walter, "Hey, bro, what was up with the gun?" Totally bad timing. What's up with that?
Bad
So
timing. Bad timing.
yeah, bad timing. So from my
Horrible
recollection,
timing.
he pretty much said, "Hey, listen, guys, I've been wanting a gun. I wanted my first gun. I went, shooting, all of that stuff. I have information about that. Due to the pandemic, that's when I was able to get the registration, everything like that, the stuff that I needed, and then I was able to go ahead and gun shopping. I was pretty much waiting for that. By the time I got that, it would just so happen that it was around the time that this whole ordeal took place. What are
That's
your
also
thoughts on that?"
debatable, in my opinion. To be honest, I would say that's debatable as well, because you must have some type of awareness to know, like, you just came from a beef. You get what I'm saying? I mean,
Yep.
some type of confrontation online, and then to all of a sudden post you purchasing a gun. Anyone from the outside spectrum would interpret it as, okay, you're purchasing a firearm. You know, Preach tends to be Haitian, and Miami's full of Haitians, so it's like, oh damn, what's gonna happen? So anybody would interpret it that way. So that's why I would say it's debatable. I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt. I'll give them the word, but that's
Definitely.
all debatable.
Definitely. Hey, bro, I'm 100% in agreement with you on that. In fact, same here. I will give him the benefit of the doubt. But yeah, and Abba spoke about this in one of his videos,
Right,
that looking at it from the consumer's lens, even if that were true, he should still have the self-awareness that just promoting this or putting
right,
this out there is going to look bad. Now, I can understand how he can argue that point and say, hey, listen, I am not going to limit myself or restrict my life just because of an altercation that took place. I am not going to live like that in fear. If that's his take on it, so be it. Again, I'm in 100% agreement with you on that
right.
take as well. Again, next point. So here is and again, my apologies if I mispronounce his name, Yandy. For I believe I got that right,
The
but
dude with the
Yandy,
Timbs.
yeah, the
The
dude
dude
with the
with
Timbs, brolic, swole motherfucker. Him,
yeah,
he worked periodically for Fresh and Fit at some point. In fact, there is rumors that he was one of the what is it, founders of this approach of having girls and coming in and things of that nature. But however, Fresh and Fit do cover that and say, hey, listen, we started doing this in January. We first thought we had that idea, and I believe he was referring to the late night session. So of course, a little bit of back and forth with that stuff.
his word against theirs.
Exactly. Now, Allende, of course, he did have an opportunity to start his own like podcast or whatever, and it looks like they're not doing numbers as they would have liked.
Takes time.
They had a party going on. They were supposed to recruit, and it looks like Allende was not really. He was mixing business with pleasure a little too much. The irony on that, right?
Ironic,
But
right?
yeah. So, again, he was not living up to the expectations of the guys. So ultimately, him and Large, I believe his name is, were
Right,
pretty much kicked off.
right,
Also, on that note, is one of the reasons that the everything that's kind of like the starting point, right? They got kicked off. There was like a party and stuff like that
right,
that people were supposed to like show up. It was like probably like a meet and greet or a pop up or something to that effect. The party was just trash. People were just invested money and they felt like they were not getting their money's worth.
right,
Although Allende was paid and to do everything, people were just like, hey, we want a refund, something to that effect.
right,
Now, before I let you kind of chime in on this, bro. So then pretty much what happened here is, and this is how this kind of links all with aba&Preach. 3 months later, Allende shows up, right, claiming that subs were saying that they're owed money, right? They want a refund for the whole situation.
Why
And
they waited till now to get that shit? That's why, honestly, when I first
exactly,
started,
right?
it was clout chasing. They was using it as an opportunity.
Exactly. And we're gonna see a common trend throughout as well. There's a
Right.
lot of stuff that happened, within a couple of months, and it seems like everything came out the woodwork. And I kind, we've seen that before with other things, right? We've seen that like in Bill Cosby situation. We see that with Weinstein, I believe, and
Me
stuff like that.
too.
We've seen
Me
that,
too. Everyone
the
has a
Me Too
fucking
movement, stuff like
opinion,
that,
right?
right? And again, and not that we are by any means minimalizing those situations. Of course, those
Correct.
are serious things, but unfortunately, there's going to be people that are looking for clout, right? And that sucks because there's real people out there that do
Right.
experience, rape and things of that nature. We don't want to get into, off topic, but
Right.
that was that. So on that note, bro, so what is so far? What is your take as far as the whole Yandy situation
Well,
and
honestly,
claims and all that?
to each his own. Everyone has their opinion. I personally believe he was definitely chasing clout, right? I mean, there's a way
Definitely.
of doing business, right? Because I mean, apparently, if there was money involved, I'm pretty sure there could have been, if there was a contract or something, you could have done it from a legal perspective. Why did you have to burst into his place of residence and
Definitely.
make that scandal, right? And if it happened 3 months ago, allegedly, right? If it happened all this time, why would you wait all this time to collect your money, right? Why would you wait?
Exactly.
You decided this was a perfect opportunity to do that. And if it's money involved, right? Notice what he's saying. He's like, "Yo, come outside, pussy." So
Hmm.
I don't know what era you're stuck in. I get it, based on the fitted cap, the Tims. You probably grew up to handle things from a physical standpoint. But
Hmm.
if money is involved, involve the law. That's simple. If you feel like Myron
Exactly.
bamboozled you or D-blocked you, as people in New York say,
Yes,
get your
sir.
money the right way. But you're not going to, come into his place of residence and you saw Myron. He had the
The
piece.
hammer. Had the
He
hammer
had
on
the
him.
hammer. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? There's repercussions
Hmm.
to everything you do. Don't think just because you have big muscles, you're going to be able to
Hmm.
get whatever it is that you want to get. And he was
Hmm.
departed from the Fresh and Fit. He was telling, okay, it's not going to work out because he was mixing business and pleasure too much, right? He was
Hmm.
messing with the models. He wasn't acting accordingly. His behavior
Hmm.
was atrocious. So
Hmm.
if he would have, stood his ground and he would have behaved, he would have still been around. I mean, it has nothing per se to do with his talent because if you look at Walter, he's still working on his speaking ability. Good shout out to him. He
Shout out
already
to
said
Walter
that
for that.
he's taking public speaking classes. He said that's what he announced and that's what's up. The guy didn't get, wasn't that guy wasn't talented, just he did not act up to par. And clearly this show that he did trying to fight Myron states that. It clearly demonstrates that he was no
Hmm.
class.
Definitely. Again, bro, you hit it right on the head with that one as well. By no means is that correct. I don't care what you do. You do not go to a man's house where he lay his
Temple,
heads,
like
possibly with family.
crazy.
That's just
Crazy.
outside of the rules. That's something you do
Doing it for
not do.
clout. People in New York don't even do
Um,
that. He was definitely doing it for
exactly.
clout. Why was there a
Um,
camera?
yeah,
Why was there a
and
camera?
and usually, and the people that do, they're there to kill. It's not to clout.
Exactly.
Especially in New York, I've seen it. I've seen it. I know people personally
Of
that have
course.
lost, family members and stuff like that. Mike, of course, RIP and condolences to them, where people do break in, but that because they mean literally business. It's game time. Something bad is about to go down. But on that note, which of course it led to the breaking, as and everything like that. Fresh and Fit, they, from a political standpoint, so they can be politically correct. They're saying that they do not think or aba&Preach. I was going to say AP, but aba&Preach were involved in that, which of course it makes sense. Walter, for a moment, he was a little bit like, I don't know. I think they might have, but again, guys, come on, let's be realistic. There's so much paper trail, so much evidence that would lead back. If somebody would have gotten physically hurt, that would have easily gone back to aba&Preach. So that would have been a very easy one to really put together. So I honestly, and I don't think aba&Preach have that far of a reach out there. I mean, they have a lot of subscribers, but those dudes are really not about that life. These guys are some good conservative dudes. They
Of
have,
course.
they're free, spirit and stuff like that. These dudes are really, come on, you can see it in their demeanor. Some great guys. I don't think they're capable of something like that.
Right.
So that's my take on it. However, bro, I don't know. Actually, we haven't had the opportunity to really talk about this. There's been some videos recently that has surfed that this might have been staged. So I'm confused. I saw a video from like the perspective from like a third party view
Right.
Of Yandy walking in and going in where he didn't have to. Yeah, it wasn't locked. So he didn't have to kick the door in or anything like that. I was like, whoa, wait a minute. So nobody really kicked the door in.
Myron,
Yo, Amu. Come outside, my nigga. Come outside, my nigga. Come outside, my nigga.
Myron being a very punctual person, he was trained in military. He was law enforcement. How did he forget to lock the door? You get what I'm saying? So that's debatable. That's also another debatable thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So that was kind of weird that was the case, right? That door was unlocked. So that was kind of weird, man. So people are now getting the idea. Wait a minute, this might have all been set up by them to begin with, to then kind of start building a story. I don't know, man. Honestly, I don't know. We'll leave it at that. Now,
food for thought.
Food for thought. Anna Quinn Fitness. Ooh. I don't know why, but when I think about Anna Quinn, I think about Harley Quinn. Like the boo of Joker. I don't know where that comes to mind, and I feel like she has a little bit of a look to that. I don't know, whatever. But so their initial conversation took place back in June 3rd. Now, since that, there's been a whole lot of situation. Even recently, I don't know if you caught it, bro, but again, shout out to Duke and Dawn, because they actually had Anna Quinn recently, at the time of this recording, about maybe like a day ago, had Anna Quinn, someone else, and my bad, bro, I can't remember his name, and also the 360 Blessing kid, and he actually apologized for, he didn't have to do that, and he was brave enough. I do give him credit. He was brave enough to actually come in on air to begin with. So shout out for him for doing the right thing and apologizing to her.
Right.
Now, however,
right, absolutely.
With that said, Anna is not off the hook, and I'm sorry, Anna. You've given your perspective, and Myron was totally in the wrong.
Absolutely, yes, he was.
And it goes against all his guru-ness, all the training that he gives to these young cats and men out there that he's giving. It goes all against that. And there's another video by aba&Preach that just came out yesterday or today, if I'm not mistaken, at the time of the recording, where he puts the snippet and shows, hey, depending how you acquire the girl, that's also very important. Not only how or when or something like that, it's also how you go about it. Whoa, bro, so if that's important to get that burning desire, you freaking blew it. That's the worst thing. And again, I'm gonna put the video right here, right now, so you guys can look at it. Take a look.
Well, the sex is transactional. We don't have it, but that's exactly what you do.
And you see, the way you acquire a woman sometimes is even more important than acquiring her. And what I mean by that is, you're not going to get her best if you pay for it. Nope. And if you're content with that, that's okay.
Yeah. All right. Hope you guys saw that. So yeah, that kind of goes. It was super duper contradictory right there. So not sure what happened to Myron. Again, he mentions it, right? He says that it was a lazy attempt. But he did glaze over the fact that ultimately you were not planning on having her on your show unless she did that. So it wasn't where you were mixing business with pleasure. You were using your business for pleasure. Exactly. I'm going to say that again.
Extortion, to be honest. Yep.
I'm going to say that again. You were not mixing business with pleasure. You were using your business for pleasure. Let that sink in. There's a huge difference there, right? So I do wanted to make sure. Now, with that said, again, Anna Quinn is not off the hook, bro. And I'm sorry, I'm kind of long-winding this, but I want to make this point clear. There was a lot of information that went back and forth. From Anna was even tagged when she would actually, enter the chat and stuff like that. Which, again, to their point, that is correct. You cannot tag someone unless if they are in the chat. So she might have not even realized that technically she doxed herself. And again, for those of you that don't understand that terminology, the docs, feel free to look it up. Docs is essentially when something is private and somebody takes it and makes it public. That's pretty much the definition of it, right? In a simplistic form. So she might have doxed herself, but because Myron did say, shared the name and say, hey, I don't care if you guys go roast her, and that's kind of what went viral, that part there.
That's what went viral. Yep.
Yeah, she might have think, okay, this guy sent out his little army, and they're coming after me. But remember, Anna, you had a lot of conversation, which initially you blurred, but when you were going back and forth for Fresh and Fit, people might have been able to connect the dots 2 and 2 and say, wait a minute, is this girl? And they might have just not gone to your neck until they're receiving the blessings. But people were going to start piecing it together, if not already. So from that aspect, going back on 360 blessing, again, the kid that was very offensive towards her, I can see when he was saying, "Oh yeah, you could just search her up." At first, I was like, "Wait a minute, you can search anybody's up and they'll come up." But I can see I think what he meant was you can search her in that current when that situation was taking place. So again, I'm not sure if you want to add too much to that, but in my personal opinion, I believe that she was in the wrong for keeping going. She could have easily nipped this, but she kept on antagonizing and everything until it got out of control, right? But wait, there's more. She didn't bring any of this stuff up until she was, fed up with it. And when was it that she was fed up with it? Was when everything else was falling, right? You know what they say, when it rains, it pours. So now that everything is falling apart, now she decides to bring this up, which has been what now 2 months since then. But I don't know. Go ahead, bro. Anything you want to add to that?
Absolutely. I mean, when Myron showed the DMs, right, at one point Myron just stopped responding.
Mm-hmm.
He just stopped responding. But Anna Quinn kept going. She kept poking. She kept poking. And she kept joining the live streams. And eventually, what you think is going to happen? Yes, Myron was entirely wrong. Yeah. Entirely wrong for trying to extort her, pretty much, using his business. Great way of saying it. He was using his business for pleasure, right? But, you know what I'm saying? Anna Quinn, she kept going. She kept texting. She kept messaging, oh, it's a shame. You might want this and this and this and that. She couldn't let that shit go. Just, block him. Don't collab with him. It is what it is. But that's why you just got to let things go. You know what I'm saying? But, I understand to a certain degree, right? So everyone has different tolerance levels. He was definitely a dick. Honestly, I would have liked to see him apologize more about that, saying, you know what? It was wrong for me to use my business for pleasure. I came as direct, a dick, because, Walter was kind of justifying it a little bit, right? He said, oh, this is always him on camera, off camera. Yes, it may be him, but that doesn't mean that it's the correct way. Right. And it definitely contradicts, like you said, bro, it contradicts, right? Business with pleasure and paying for sex, because they say burning desire, but you're not going for the burning desire. You're essentially using the business to pretty much put her in a situation where she has to choose, okay, do I want this collab with this trending podcast, or do I let it go? So they were wrong for that. They should have. I wanted to see it because of that.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, I'm in agreement with you, except for the part that they should apologize to her. If anything, it's the subscribers or supporters, which in fact they did do that, but for the exact same reason. I don't feel that she does deserve more of an apology than she already got, because again, she was just as bad. I honestly don't think that what Myron did was wrong to her. He was, if you have money and you want to leverage it, so be it. If you have a business and you want to leverage it, so be it. Do what you want. Unless you're not lying to her. You were extremely direct, right? Even though that comes off a little bit, crazy to be that direct.
It contradicts his business model. That's what I'm saying.
But you are contradicting your business model. So the apology is owed to the supporters, because you're charging a lot of money for courses, but yet your approach there was not is not outlining any of your courses. Exactly. Now I don't have any of his courses, so I don't know. But I'm only putting the pieces together. That's not in your course, from my understanding, because you're wanting that burning desire, like this Kenny said. So again, I don't feel that the apology is towards her. I feel like it's to the supporters and the people that are actually forking their hard cold cash and paying for these things, and then you're just saying, hey, fuck it, I'm just gonna go ahead and leverage my business to get the poom poom or the box.
I got a question. I got a question. Like, what do you think? Because they were supporters saying, "Hey, if she can't handle the heat, get out the oven." Do you think she should take a break from social media? Do you think she should, pretty much stay away from the accounts?
Great.
Because they were saying
Appreciate that question. Appreciate that question, bro. I had it. I was gonna say it at the end, but I'm glad you brought it up now because it can fit right into this conversation. So here's the thing. Here's the problem. She makes her money from her social media platform. She gets DM, all kind of messages, and that's how she finds a lot of her leads. So if she, and again, it goes back to that analogy that I made the other day, remember about the Chinese people? If we call the Chinese store and we start pranking them and ordering food, they cannot just say, you know what, we're going to shut down the phones. Because what happens if you do that, then you're no longer going to get phone calls for people wanting to order Chinese food. So because of that, she is forced to still go through all those private DMs because it can be a money grab for her. Now, again, does not get her off the hook because one of the supporters went to her and they say, hey, do you feel how this is how you should conduct business? And she was like, hey, don't tell me what to do. I was actually able to get people because of this. So thank you, but no thanks. Now, I don't know how legitimate that is, but it seems very legit. So I wouldn't be surprised if her business has actually improved because of this, because all the extra clout that she's getting, whether she intentionally wanted or didn't want it. I feel that this is going to make her some money, and it's going to give her a lot of, a clout for this. So awesome question, bro, because that was a key thing in that whole discussion. So again, that's another reason why I don't feel that he owes her an apology. She could have cut this off from the get-go. And even when before the Q&A, she also decided to make a video. Why are you making an extra video? You're supposed to be in bed rest. Don't forget about the media. Do everything for your baby.
Do you think to a certain degree she was clout chasing to a certain degree?
I think
that's debatable.
I think it's debatable. I think that possibly she might have been interested in the idea. She was certainly intrigued at the very least. Clout chasing, I feel like might be, a strong term in this one. But she,
I didn't know who the Quinn was until the Fresh&Fit.
Never heard of it. Exactly. She was even wanting to name drop. She wanted to mention Mike Rashid at one point, and she kind of pulled back on that message, as we all saw there. Again, don't understand what was her reasoning. But yeah, I think that it can either go both ways. I really don't know. I can see though how it could benefit her business, but at what cost, right? Because not even you're in this predicament. You wanna blame Myron, but you got to take some accountability too, boo boo. I mean, you just gotta take some accountability for that. Now, kind of moving over, fast forwarding to the Nina Unrated situation. That one for me, bro, was pretty much clear as water in Florida, Miami. They did defend themselves well. Pretty much, guys, just so you guys, what happened there was they, Nina Unrated was on a show prior. Then they did pretty much a little poll. Hey, who wants to see Nina back? People say, yeah, press 1 for yes. Everybody was like, yeah. But keep in mind, this is their show. They ultimately decide when and how you're gonna be utilized, right? Heck, they can even tell you where to sit, right? That's their show. You're gonna get clout off of this. Exactly. So they pretty much had an agreement. It was a verbal, nothing contractual or anything like that. It was pretty much a handshake agreement. Hey, I'm gonna bring you back at some point. Then they went ahead and were starting to kind of try to work out the kinks for that. At some point, they said, hey, listen, we have this great idea, and I think you'll be a perfect fit for this show. This would be a perfect way for us to bring you back. Also would be, partaking in a new idea that we have, which it was the whole, getting hot and spicy, topless type of thing. It's pretty like an interview, but topless, which I think personally that would work well for those of you that want to see that. I'm not into it, but I can see the business model working for them. So she was like, whoa, my services are $2,500 if that's what we're talking about. They were like, well, wait a minute. Well, we have, meet and greets and stuff like that and pop-ups, but we charge $10,000. So if we're talking numbers, what I mean? You give us 25, we, we give you 25, you got to give us 10. So you're going to be at a deficit here, buddy. She didn't like
Exactly.
that. So she felt like they were doing the bait and switch, right? Which I don't think they were doing no bait and switch. Ultimately,
No
they,
way.
you know, also, you know, as they say, you know, may be subject to change. You know, all the businesses have that in their disclosures. I felt like they were within their reasons to be able to do that.
Exactly.
However, she proceeded to buy her flight without confirming. She bought her
Without
flight,
confirming.
then she confirmed. That's all. That's a
You
bullying
don't do
tactic.
that.
Easily,
You don't do that.
you see that from a mile away.
You don't do
Myron
that.
said, "Let me talk to the team, see what they say." I believe it's Chris, the guy behind
He
the
also
camera.
gave her two options. It's like, listen, either
Oh,
you're going to pay
you're
the
right.
bread or the King Sid.
Exactly. That's
King
right.
Sid. So she tried to portray this narrative that he was trying to manipulate her sexually for that. And he said, no, either you're going to do this or the King Sid.
That's
She
right.
had the alternative.
That's
She
right.
had the
100%. You're right, bro. Yeah, 100%. My bad. I totally forgot about that part. They did give her an option, so they were not trying to. Again, that just further confirms they were not trying to hit her with no bait and switch.
There was no
As
fucking
you know,
bait.
yeah, there was nothing there. It was she just didn't like the offering. She wanted what she wanted when she wanted. Again, it kind of goes back into the whole thing. She has to take accountability. Then she tried to shit on them. Come on, Nina, that's not correct.
That's debatable. She was probably clout chasing. In that sense, I feel like that, you know, you could arguably say she was probably clout chasing.
Most likely. She was definitely
trying
most
to
likely.
defame
Yeah.
him entirely. You know what I'm saying?
She was, kill two birds with one stone. She'll, try to
She made
expose
it
them
about
because everybody
business.
loves that.
She made it about business. I was like, okay, we're talking numbers. Hey, we charge 10.
Mhm.
You get what I'm saying? I'm like, yo, you being on their platform alone is worth more than that 2,500. To be
Exactly.
honest, we could get more subscribers. Not for nothing. When she came to the platform, she did very well. She spoke very well. You know, she definitely spoke. She was educating the younger girls about men nature on how men operate because she has experience. Right? She's in her early 40s. She knows how men think, and a lot of women are delusional. They think that a certain high value men are just going to stick to one. And she's saying, yo, listen, men are designed like this biologically. She was using she did phenomenal. Honestly, that's why people wanted to see her back. But she shot herself in the foot. She was talking about numbers, this and this and that. Yo, listen, either King Sid or this. And then,
Exactly. Yeah. So perfect, bro. Appreciate you bringing that up. But yeah, that's that for that. Another question that was asked was, hey, what's up with the John Anthony lifestyle? And for those of you who do not know John Anthony, have I mentioned him before? John Anthony lifestyle. It's a dating coach. Or get girl guru that lives in Brazil. He makes videos on how to get girls or showing you his success. He claims that he has over like 12 or 1,300 lays. Lays meaning getting the poom poom. All without paying for it, at least not transactional, like
not being a high value man. So basically, regardless of your financial status, he's gonna get you, laid.
He's gonna show you'll show you the ways. Yep, and he gives you a 30-minute session where he kind of sees where your level is at. You give him some information, and you kind of go from there. Myron actually did reach out to him at some point back in 2019, and. Right. He said that his lay counts. He mentioned, the type of girls that he was hooking up with, which were like anywhere from like 5 to 7s, if I'm not mistaken, or 6. A couple of 8s. I think he mentioned like there as well.
For the norm, you know what I'm saying?
Correct.
So that's when Myron gave that comment saying that he surpassed John Anthony lifestyles. I feel like, nah, man.
Yeah, you kind of jumped there. So yeah, what I wanted to say there is to again keep in mind that was in 2019. From 2019, they created the podcast back in pretty much through the pandemic. So then John Anthony lifestyle definitely is feeling some type of way because these dudes are getting a lot of clout and they're coming through the ranks. And he's like, wait a minute, this dude is a guru all of a sudden. So he made a couple of videos exposing these guys.
Type salty.
Yeah, so he's definitely a type salty, and
the info again was right, but the intention was wrong.
Yeah, and we said this before, ladies and gentlemen. Sometimes it's not what you say, it's how you say it. And that's when somebody did ask about Jonathan. Again, to Kenny's point now, that's fast forward to that, he was hey, listen, the student has surpassed the teacher. So that kind of tells you that Myron did look up to him at some point. It just Myron never cared to really address the situation like that, at least not directly, until just recently, until 2 days ago. Also, one more thing, ladies and gentlemen, I do want to let you know we did not do the video immediately. We just kind of want to let everything sink in, make sure that we're not emotional or anything like that. Make sure that we're already kind of let the information marinate, if you will. So that was pretty much the entirety. Again, this lasted 4 hours. But they go into great details and they're really dissecting every single bit of information. But that was literally the most important key points to take away from this. I don't know if you kind of want to go first, bro, to kind of tell me in your entirety your conclusion about the entire Q&A and what's your idea. And I'll chime in at the end and make sure shout out to Coca-Cola. Give me that call.
Shout out to Coke. Gotta get my Coke, man. You know what I'm saying? Granted, I'm trying to keep it as best as I can from a life coach perspective, because this isn't really a life coach. This is pretty much reporting to what the heck is going on. So I definitely want to give credit to Walter and Myron for taking the initiative, gathering the receipts and doing the best they can. There was a couple things that I felt like they could have done more. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But to each his own. But I feel like their brand deserves a second chance. They're ultimately young guys. They make people make mistakes. One bad incident shouldn't really determine the outcome of a person's business. Everything pretty much is all about perspective, right? It's debatable. Did aba&Preach betray them? That's debatable. But then when you watch the content, they were just giving constructive criticism, and to have a really solid business, you gotta accept constructive criticism. And I want Walter and Myron need to understand that they're mentioning outrageous things, right? So let's say another thing. Walter is so dedicated to his number, saying that he has over 1,000 lays. A lot of people are going to question that because, you were in the tech industry, right? The Fresh&Fit hasn't even been 2 years old. Prior to that, you were in tech. So where are you getting these lays? You know what I'm saying? So that's why a lot of people question it, this and this, that. So a lot of people, they have to honestly understand other people's point of view and understand that we're going to have disagreements and people are not always going to believe what they say.
Exactly.
So it's all about criticism at the end of the day.
Definitely, man. I agree with you on that. And really quick there, not to kind of interrupt you, but also one thing that I did forget to mention, somebody brought up the situation with Kevin Samuels. It seems that they have reached to Kevin Samuels in a few occasions. However, Kevin Samuels just does not respond. He only kind of reaches out to them when he's in the need of something. Kevin Samuels even, reached out to them to let them know, hey, is there any way that you guys can push your shows to a different time slot so we're not clashing for views, being that we are in similar.
Freaking obnoxious. I'm sorry to say.
yeah. That's a little bit, much from him.
It's not for everybody. I'm noticing, this is not Kevin Samuels not reporting him. I don't want get out of topic, but my personal opinion, I just feel like it's just getting out of hand. I was watching Kevin Samuels, but I see how there were a couple nice girls on the show, and he just I just stopped watching. To be honest with you.
And I agree with you, bro. And in some cases, people talk about Myron. A lot of times, I feel like Kevin Samuels could be even worse because Myron is just kicking you. Yeah, Myron's just kicking you out the show. Kevin Samuels is pretty much he's beating you down to the point where you're crying. Like in the Myron show, you can get upset, I'm saying the Myron show, but what I mean by that is when Myron is Frank Castle's people, whatever, you could be upset. But when some of these girls, when they're talking to Kevin, they're destroyed, man. They're just beaten the fuck down. So pardon my French. So yeah, I do like some of his content. And I do agree with Kevin Samuels must be protected at all costs. He does bring a lot of value, but yeah, sometimes it does get out of control. And I don't know if it's the numbers that he has increased, and nobody can use his content. Doesn't matter if it's just even to like replay it, and he wants like all exclusivity to the stuff that he's involved in. Like it gets really, really much. I feel like he's not laxed in any of it.
His age is definitely coming about. He's in his 50s.
Might be a factor there.
the old man tendencies are definitely coming out. That's what it is.
Correct. Yeah. So again, I wanted to kind of just throw that in there.
I respect the success that he's gotten, though. This is not to hate on him. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely. No. Yeah. I mean, he's done great. He's done great. The same way that I feel that Fresh and Fit has done great as well. But anything else that you want to add, bro, before I go ahead and give my final take of what I think there?
No, that's pretty much it. I mean, I'm sure we hit everything on the nail. You know what I'm saying? And that's it. I mean, you guys ultimately decide. Do you want to keep watching them? That's up to you. There's no right or wrong answer. Just always look at both sides of the spectrum before you make your final decision. Okay,
well, yeah, and again, great point there. And again, ladies and gentlemen, do appreciate you sticking with us. I know that we mentioned this is going to be about 25 minutes, and we're about the 39-minute mark. But again, I promise we'll end it up pretty quick. Again, my take. I feel that this was definitely needed on their behalf. They needed to kind of stop the bleeding. It does suck that they waited until something as catastrophic as that, having to pull out a gun. And again, assuming that is real. They shouldn't have waited this long. I can understand why they waited. They might have been collecting the receipts, getting everything in order, getting all their ducks in a row so they can come with all the facts. This is certainly going to help their brand get back on track. Of course, this also is a learning experience. And this has also been a great opportunity for a lot of people. So, hey, I always like to say things happen for a reason. They've also pointed out that even though they lost over 40 to 50,000 subscribers, they have been able to make more money. Because if you guys don't know, what really counts in YouTube is the retention. How not only the views, but how long are people watching you for? Right, that plays a huge factor. So they've actually shed some light on that, and that's why they've been okay. They kind of went about their business. They do understand that they should have not waited so long, but again, it was for a reason they were doing that. I'm glad that they went ahead and did that. I think it was much needed. Does that completely left them off the hook? No, I think there were some things, as Kenny pointed out.
They were able to stitch up the wound,
Yeah, you definitely, lay some things. You kind of stitch up the wound, and as you say, I think it was good overall. Of course, again, they're not perfect. I think neither. No one is perfect for that matter.
No content creator is perfect. No content creator.
To say who wins, who loses, honestly, I don't know. I think. Shout out to all the channels that have been able to grow off of this. I think, the subscribers that really got an inside scoop of what happened and the small channels that have been able to grow off of this, and also the little bit of humble pie that Fresh and Fit had to eat because of this. And obviously, aba&Preach also increased their subscribe count a little bit because they were kind of stagnant for a few weeks there where they were just stuck at 1.39. So I think everybody wins, everybody loses, and I'm sorry to say it. So I don't think this is where like, oh my God, somebody's completely wrong or somebody's completely right. There's a little bit of everything. There's a little bit for everyone.
The viewers decide. The people decide ultimately.
On that note, I appreciate you bringing that up, bro. We're gonna go ahead and end it here. But again, on that note, please, ladies and gentlemen, make sure to like and subscribe. And comment down below. Let's make sure that we're having a dialogue about what you guys think about the whole ordeal. And again, if it's content like this that you guys want, please let us know. Let us know. We'll cover it. Again, another day, another dollar with Kenny and Manny, baby. That's how it is. You know what I'm saying?
Another day, another dollar, man.